So I think as far as like hosting, it kind of goes hand in hand with producing, but a lot of times you don't have to really host a show that you're producing also. I mean, producing a show, like just speaking for Eves, is like I said earlier, it's like we do every single thing, like collect music, make the flyers, promote the show, keep track of what the girls are doing, make sure they show up on time, and also open the show, talk, change, announce people off and on stage, keep changing, go out, perform, announce the next person, go back, change, and go back again, and then do the closing hosting. And then we do our finale number, the drag off.
We're expected to have the same amount of energy from that, how's everybody doing, at the beginning to the very end when we're like, okay, everybody have a great night.
Yeah, because we have to carry the mood for the whole show. Yeah. And I think some queens, they might take it for granted that all they have to do is just show up, get dressed, and do it, and then change, and then do it, and that's it. Or show up ready, have a cocktail, go on when they're ready, take a break, sit for 40 minutes, and then go on again. Whereas we are just on the fly. And it kind of sucks because sometimes it does take away from like our getting ready time. Like we might not have our wigs glued on or pinned in right. So it's like we can't really fully do what we need to do because we're too busy worrying about like everyone else.
Has it happened to you where you'll be like changing and it's like, oh, I ran out of time between those 2 or 3 girls that were first, and then you're just like, I'm just gonna go out like this.
Yeah.
Like I didn't glue down my wig, so no, I don't get to whip my hair.
Yeah.
Or you're like, okay, well, put on those boots that were really quick to get on, not the ones I brought for the outfit.
Yeah, it's really rare at Eves of Paradise where I'll feel completely prepared when I go on to perform, unless I'm not hosting. Like, if that's not a thing I'm doing and I have plenty of time, that's the only thing good about having a big cast, really, is having so much buffering time. Yeah. But when it's our usual, like, 6 girls, it's like, we don't have time to do anything intricate. And, I mean, most of what I wear is just black anyway. So I can mix and match a whole bunch of random shit and just throw it on, you know? Sometimes I premeditate that when I'm performing. Do I want to do something conceptual and different, but that's going to take more time to get ready in between each number? And do I want to put that effort on myself, or should I just do one number and just not worry about it? And, like, all these things. Whereas when I get booked for a show, if that ever happens, it's like, I get to pick 2 songs I want to do, and that's it.
Honestly, there's also a misconception from, like, a performer towards a host. Like, common misconception of a host from a performer standpoint is that you guys are, like, in a bad mood. Or you guys are, like, bitches. But, like, oh, well, Helen's being a bitch tonight because she's coming through and being like, everybody move, get out of my way, I need to get ready.
Ooh, she's
and it's
a
like,
bitch tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
I kind of take advantage of that, hope that they do get intimidated, because that's why I'm like, no one better be in my fucking corner, you know, because that's where I take a lot of space to get ready for no reason. So I'm like, but I feel like I earn that, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
As a host, like, we earn that spot. We earn to use the back office because we run the fucking show.
Exactly.
And I don't want to be like, well, I'm a fucking boss bitch, so eat it, you know? We hope that never comes into conversation, but if they're gonna be like, well, why did they get to do this? And why did they get to do that? I'm like, because it's our fucking show.
And not yours.
Literally.
There's not been one year
that center part
where me and Robert have not expressed like some kind of venting where we're like, well, should we include the other girls or not? And then it's just like it's ours, and we're like, no, because we run the show. We've been here since gate 1.
Yeah.
And so whatever we say is go. Whereas in the beginning, when we first started the show, we'd be like, would all the girls be okay with this?
Yeah.
And what do they want to do? And then we let the voices, we let other people sit at the table, and people started flipping the fucking table. So now we're just like, no, what we say goes. This is how it is. You don't like it? There are plenty of other shows you can go to. Good luck.
Yeah. And it's funny because, well, that's a segue into our next thing, which is our segment about giving chances, you know. Especially with our show, like, unfortunately, some shows have ended, and it's left a lot of queens without a show. And we're open to having them come out, but not to neglect the fact that when we had our show the whole time, and a lot of queens or other areas were like, ugh, I'm not going to go to Stockton for free. I'm not going to do that. That's, you know, Stockton. Now that we're actually kind of popular, people are like, when am I in the show, girl? Can I be in the show? Well, another misconception is we pick and choose who we want in the show based of where the fuck they perform.
Yeah,
I mean, as me and Hellen in particular, we give 2 shits about where you perform. If you're a decent human being and you're professional and you don't start shit at the bar, you're a foot in to perform at least once. Whereas we're not like anybody can show up in any song they can do. You know,
It used to be like that.
well, we're desperate.
Yeah.
When you have a 3-person cast, you would take anyone you can.
Yeah, I
and
know.
and it's like, you know, there are people who are like, oh, you just don't like me because I do this and I do that. I'm like, no, because you start shit whenever you come to the bar. If you come to a bar and you forget your ID, you're stupid. If you come to a bar and you start a fight with somebody and wonder why you're not getting booked anywhere, think about it. Let me think about it. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
Boom, boom, boom.
So I'm like, 'cause at the end of the day, like, if you fight with people, I don't care. You do that. I'm not fighting with you. I'll be even on really good terms with this person, but I don't want that in my show potentially fucking up my connection with the bar.
Yeah.
Because you're putting my show, you keeping me from my bags.
You fucking with my money.
No, literally, you're fucking with my business, and that's not my friendship. It's don't fuck up something we've established for 6 years and worked hard to contain and maintain, and we've gone through shit, Helen more than I, about our reputations and stuff like that. So it's like,
Don't come into my workplace.
yeah, and it's not
start
even
messing
it's not
with
that serious to
It's
be
not
honest.
that serious.
What's that saying? I'm not about to come down to the 9th Street corner and knock the dick
just
out of your mouth.
It's just it's one of those things where like people think that we have like these like I don't want her in my show, so I'm not gonna book her. And I'm like, if we did, we would just tell people I don't like you, or that would be a very we wouldn't waste the time to be like, well, you
Let
know,
me give an excuse and try to like protect your feelings.
we've tried that before.
Yeah, we've tried.
and it doesn't work.
But
And-
rolling back, like, it's still at the end of the day, if you get denied, like, we have never been one of those shows where it's like, we're an open, free-for-all amateur night. Like, there are shows out there that like brand themselves like that. We have never been one of those shows. We've always been like a casted show. We may not have like a particular like long set cast, but we are still like this many girls this week. Turn in your music, and you're the ones that are. And then if it's themed out or whatever, we make sure to put the names on the flyer. That is a casted show. And so if it ever gets to that point where it's like, this is not good for our brand, this is not good for our image, it has to do with us saying like, thank you, but no thank you.
Yeah.
And at the same time, like, why would you want to waste your time trying to like fight us on that? Move on.
We had so many girls just show up very like chill and pleasantly, like Solaris. Like I met her at Thursday night and she came as a boy. She introduced herself to me. She was very nice to me, and then she comes and supports our show even if she's not in the show. Or shout out Solaris. She's really cool. And then she's tiptoeing her way into the drag scene, and now more so Modesto, and she performs at like the Brave Bull sometimes. We don't give a fuck. I like the Brave Bull.
Yeah.
They have a sickening dressing
Back room, yeah.
Yeah, and everything. And I've always had a good time at the Brave Bull whenever I've been. I just don't have time off on Sundays to go. I'm being specific with clubs now, but like that's just an example. Like she showed up, she was like, I'm this person. Let's have a friendship, and then if you're open, can I perform sometime? I'm like, yeah, I can. If there's an open availability, then that's a thing.
It's very old school of her to do that, and it's very respectful, because I think there's a couple of things that like I take from such a young age of performing. I dipped my toe into the drag waters, I guess you could say, really, really early on.
Is that why it tastes like that?
Feet. No.
Feet. I don't know why I said it like
Feet. So the fact that she did that is also like a very important thing. I guess it kind of ties into like the giving a chance. Back when I first started doing drag, we were given a chance based on somebody seeing our level of performing because they went out to a show.
Yeah.
Like the bigger person, like the hostess of another show came out and saw the show to support another show locally.
and like extended an olive branch to you.
Exactly, and saw like, oh, you did a great job. That's when it came about. Nowadays, it comes from asking.
Yeah.
And, like shows that are able to give a chance, and there are some that are not able to give a chance. And if you really want to kind of go out there, I guess like a piece of advice for like younger queens would be go the old school way. If you want a chance, show your face. Do what Solaris did. Like, she came out to the shows. She supported the shows. She had maybe one drink.
Yeah.
Even if it's not an alcoholic beverage, if you have to drive home, just buy something from the bar.
bar.
Support the bar, because the bars get supported. The show gets supported.
Yeah.
Like,
I used to do that back in like Sacramento, and I used to go out and just show face to like at the like Badlands. I would just go in drag just to go.
Yeah.
I would go to Climax, and I met Monique through Jamila. Monique Moore was like a really big name in like the local 209 area as far as hosting. She scared the fuck out of me. I was really intimidated by her.
oh, absolutely.
But I told Jamila, I was like, I would like to meet her in person and introduce myself to her so she knows who I am. But I don't know why I had the balls to do that, but I'm really glad I did, because she met me, and then she let me be in a few of her shows, and that established my friendship with Jamila and Deja Moore and all the other Climax girls. And it's funny, like, it's just, you know, it seems so simple just to be like, hi. But it's hard. I mean, for me, it's like, I have social anxiety, so I'm like, I don't mind like looking like a statement, but I'll never voice a statement.
Make a statement.
Yeah,
yes,
it's
exactly.
weird that my drag is my statement, just to be like, you can talk to me if you want, but I'm not going to walk up to you because I'm shy.
Yeah, that I get that completely.
Yeah,
because again, that's why I've had a hard time doing the same thing. Like nowadays, Helen, you go achoo, and you have a new show in Monterey. Mm-hmm. You go achoo, and somehow you made it on season 13 of Drag Race.
Mm-hmm. 5 knocks.
So your name is Dave.
None of the above.
But
it's a new day and age, and if you want the chance nowadays, you have to ask for it.
Yeah. And more than a Facebook message.
Yeah,
exactly.
So here's advice. If you, because girls have done this with me, because I branched out to other cities, and then they try to reach out to me to get into like Sacramento or into this city. And my advice that is, if you are a performer and you know that you have performance abilities, but you don't have the means to get to that city, but you really want to, like some girls are like, I would really like to be booked in Sacramento, which means that they are making the trek far to go there, and you know, maybe there's some money at the end of the road other than just driving there for nothing.
Yeah.
I will say, create a resume, create a video resume, create a picture resume, create something where I have something to actually like grasp onto, because that right there shows me that you are dedicating yourself to building your brand and showcasing it, even if you're not able to like go out there and do that. Because I've like with you, remember I said send me some videos. Remember?
Oh no, yeah.
And I watched your videos, and I was up front with you. I was like, they were younger videos, and you know, but you still told me, you know, I'm working on this and this and this. And then I said, okay, why don't you come out to this show, and why don't you come watch it? And that's what I tell all the girls. Come out, watch our show, because if it's not the right fit, like, it's just not going to work.
Yeah. And I came out, and I gave, even as a boy, I came out and like with like contacts. And, yeah, exactly. It's like, so now it's nice and subtle. Mm-hmm. Now it's fish, clearly.
The fishiest of them all.
Like dead
your feet,
fish.
With your water feet. Which are now webbed.
Your fins.
Another thought I wanted to say, and I forgot because I was staring at this wrapper of Welch's grape juice. Welch's grape.
Blooper reel.
It's midnight, y'all.
Is it right? Oh,
it's almost. I know I'm gonna have like a bonus episode of just this. So I might just have a Q&A episode after, like a sub one.
Oh,
we love a sub.
Listen to her.
What are you talking about? Dan? What were you just talking about?
I was talking about resume. I was talking about that I had seen videos. Visual album, yes.
I mean, like Jennifer Lewis one. I was like, remind me what we're talking about.
I'm gonna fiance this.
No, because fiance what? You'll never know. Like, you might not be a local girl, or you might not be anywhere near that city, but you never know when you're gonna be back in that town or be past. Like when I knew Liz. Shout out Liz. She's got no last name, but if you know her, she's I don't know Liz on Instagram.
Stupid.
I'm just kidding. She's
not really Liz.
Liz was from our area, and I had never met her in person at all. I knew her on Tumblr, and then she was like, "Oh, I used to live over there." You know, I'm like, "What?" Because she's like in Philadelphia. I'm like, "You used to live in Lodi?" Like, okay. I was on a Instagram live eating hot Cheetos or something. And she was like, "Oh, I'm moving back in October." And I was like, "Oh, well, you have to be in my show because, duh." You know? I never thought that I'd interact with her or meet her like that. And now she's one of our regulars, and she's one of our closest friends. And then she's got Bijou here now. And it's like, it's crazy how I like to believe that EUs would be something, but I didn't really anticipate it being here this long and getting stronger.
Yeah,
you know?
Kelly Clarkson.
Yeah.
I was thinking Brittany.
So let's just go into this giving a chance thing. And this was inspired... because we're talking about when we started the show, and people will be like, well, why doesn't she do this, or why doesn't she do that, and why does she get to do this? And a good example is when I started our show, I was the only girl on the flyer because I was like the face, and I had like this picture of me with my one wig and my one dress from whatever Delta.
Your like reddish wig, was it like?
It was like a brown. It was like a brown wig. I didn't look bad. I just looked, young, and then
basic.
And then my face was on the flyer for like the first couple months. Things like that, where I would be like the only one featured. people will be like, why is she on the flyer? Why does she get to be on the flyer? Why can't we all be on the flyer? And this is a course of a couple of years, and it became just me and Hellen, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, why is it just you two on the flyer? Why can't we all be on the flyer? And I was like, in my head again, I was like, well, it's my fucking show. And I'm the prettiest one, apparently, because back in the day, I would take the longest to get ready, and everyone would be like, oh, well, Katana takes so long to get it ready and drag. And then people wonder why I was the pretty one. Because half the girls weren't wearing lashes for the first year of the show.
That's true.
They weren't covering their eyebrows. Someone would be like,
Hellen.
and I'm not the type.
No, it was.
I'm not the type to be like, you can't do that in drag because I say so. I was like, do you? As a friend, I will say I don't do that, but I'm not going to stop you from doing it. I've changed my ways about certain, like taking my wig off at the bar and things like that. I eat in drag. I don't care, you know. Well, I've never cared eating in drag. Back then, I was like, oh, I think of something to say, like, oh, well, it's the only thing I have available. We don't have any photos of anybody. And then we would have photo shoots with my dad's camera, with my equipment, my photoshopping, and it was a lot to Photoshop. And
oh yeah, this was back before makeup started coming
out. I mean, love you, gal, but at the time, all of us weren't that great. I did a flyer. There's fucking 8 of us all in one flyer. I think my excuse was like, I don't want to have a flyer if everyone on that flyer is not guaranteed not going to be there.
Yeah.
So I made all those photos. I edited them all. I put them all on the flyer. And of course, like a month later, there was like 3 of us. It was me, her, and Envy Mattel.
Oh yeah.
Who is now Dusk. DVVSK.
Yes. Shout out.
I filled out your complaint. I listened, I processed it, I applied it. And of course, I didn't get anything back. Fun fact, even, it went deeper than that, but like a lot of the things about us, I guess, as a show, that they did not agree with, they took as Hellen's decisions, not me and Hellen's decisions. So Hellen would be the voice of reason to say, so we're not going to do this, we're going to do this. And I'd be like, okay, whatever. And even though I'd be like, no, let's not do this, let's do this too. And every decision to this day that is made in the Eves of Paradise's name is split between me and Hellen at all times. Unless I'm like, you can decide, I don't care. But if I feel type of way about it, that's like a significant change about like if someone should not be in the show because of the behavior, then I'm like, no, I agree. It goes through me. Then she'll be like, okay, I'll type it out. But everything goes through me. She always would get the shit end of it because they would think that, oh, well, Helen's just being a little bitch and she's doing this and she won't let us do this and our show should be all inclusive and kumbaya and anyone should be a performer and anyone can do it. I don't think she's gonna care about this, but okay, Miss Charm is one of my best friends, so this is old history. But in that time, 2 of my friends, one was Miss Charm, and with good intentions, they started a show behind our back at Paradise without telling either of us. And I was like best friends with Lady Devad at the time. She was like one of my even I hung out with her more than I hung out with John. Our friendship had taken like a back seat at this point. It was more about me with Lady Devad and Miss Charm and hanging out, getting ready every single night or whatever. And I almost understood why they didn't tell her, but they didn't tell me either. And they used the photos I took of them and photoshopped on their flyer.
No.
Yeah, and it was called The Main Event. And it was like supposed to be like, variety show. I mean, it's all like under the... This is 5 years ago. History. It was like a variety show, so their pitch was anyone can do whatever. The word that people like to use is inclusive.
Yes.
An all-inclusive show. So musicians, poetry readings, all these things. I had a tiff with that, and then they apologized to me. Lady Vadi brought me donuts. I do believe that she didn't mean anything negative, and I know Charm didn't, because me and Charm were like on a different level. So I know that Charm wasn't
malicious.
Yeah, but I knew they were trying to do something with good intention, but it was still fucked up to us. As a friend, as a business person, as a friend, as a host, they took something and put it in our own home, in our home bar, and we couldn't do anything about it. And at the time, they knew more of the bartenders than we did. They had more connections. I was in them. I was in 2 of them. I was like, okay, I'll help you. I'll be in your show. Because people flaked. They didn't fulfill their commitment to the show. They were supposed to have a drummer guy that never showed up. They were supposed to have all these people. And the biggest downfall of a show is flaky people. And for me, I don't get booked a lot because I can't commit to a date unless I take the day off of work, don't have anything planned. And a lot of girls or boys, depending on what kind of performance they are, like they'll be like, oh yeah, I'll be there next month. And then poor Charm is like stuck with no one in the show.
Especially if they're not getting paid, then they're like, I don't have to show up.
But people don't people don't respect drag as like a performance style, or they don't consider drag shows like respectable venue for performing. And they don't take it seriously. Common people don't take drag queens seriously as humans. And what you said about us faking being nice to people.
Perfectional.
I've always said that, like, for drag queens, you know when you go to Disneyland and people wait in line to meet the princess?
They get something signed, they say 2 seconds worth of time, and then they're gone.
Or even if the people in the costumes, they'll come up, give us a hug, say like, oh my god, you're so cute, take a picture, not really care who's inside the costume.
Yeah.
But they'll leave. And they get joy out of that, and we have to do that, but we also have to accept that they're not going to remember who the fuck we are the next day.
No.
You know? Like,
no.
They're not going to remember who we are, what we're about, who we are as people. They're going to see us as, like, these glamorous clowns. Not like, haha, clown, but like, oh, like, they're cartoon characters. They're not real. They're not people.
They're not tangible.
Yeah. Part of drag is almost transcending that, so you feel like it's like the illusion is that.
Exactly.
But sometimes drag is very, like, in your face. Like, if you go to, like, San Francisco drag, it's very, like,
visceral.
They can touch me, you know?
Yeah,
like,
no,
they're going to get me blood splattered on me. Like, it's very that. And it's like, depending on what kind of region you're in, their response to drag is different because either they know you because they're your friend or family. You're just a person at the bar that happens to be there on a show night and you're like, oh, what's this? I don't know what this is. Or a drunk person that's just, like, there and doesn't give two shits about what you're doing on stage and doesn't think of you. They don't think of that as, like, I was like, would you walk on stage at a Broadway show? Would you do that at a concert? Would you do that? There are repercussions for these things. And it's like, they don't think of us as that.
No, because they've broken down that barrier within their mind. They don't think that it's as important.
Yeah.
And that's sad because, like, again, that's going back to your original statement that there's not enough respect behind drag as an art form.
Yeah. It's like any, like, common white girl wasted moment where you, like, there's all these compilations on YouTube of these girls walking on stage because they think it's like an open invitation to be like, oh, I want to live my fantasy on the stage because this man in a wig's doing it. Jump on your stage and take your time because I want to have fun too and I want to have attention on me because it's my birthday.
Or it's my friend's birthday.
She's
no one
22.
Cares. No one cares.
She's at home right now, but she's 22. Literally, I'm like, where's your friend? Over there.
She's drunk, throwing up in the, like...
She's already fucked up in the car.
Yeah.
That's why I tell people, like, love you, gal. But I don't give a shit if it's your birthday unless I know you. I really don't. Unless they're really supportive in the show.
Like, whose birthday are you?
Whose birthday are it? Don't care about it. You know, like...
Yeah.
I wouldn't have that negative mindset about it if I didn't have so many bad memories of it, you know?
Yeah.
Again, this all ties back into Hellen's origin story. I'm labeling this. Because during that whole thing about people thinking that Hellen's a bitch and Hellen does this, and that's when she had to move and go, not move, but remove herself from the situation and go to Sacramento.
Yeah.
And that's when she established Hellen Hills, Sacramento, to what it is now. So maybe it was for the best, maybe, because those girls aren't even here anymore. I think the girls that gave us so much hard times about that stuff eventually learn that they can't do that, and then now they're fine, I think, from what I've seen. Because our show was a starting point for a lot of girls. So it's like, they didn't know any better that you go to any other show and request these certain things or talk shit about this stuff, you would be shut out. Yeah. That's what would frustrate us. And then after a while, it's just like, no, like, we have to either cut it or just move on. And it dwindled down to me, Hellen, and our friend, Envy Mattel. We were like a 3-person show. And it was fun. It was really fun, though, to be honest. It was fun. For a couple of weeks, for a good chunk. Yeah. Like, if you look back at, like, our Facebook page, like, a lot of it's just me, her, and Envy, just with her hair.
Amazonian Airways.
Her with her hair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where the one that Envy choreographed the entire thing. And
then forgot.
And then forgot it. And then I didn't know till 2 years later or so that Hellen didn't do it either. So I was the only one on stage
doing the fucking choreography.
Yeah. I remember doing it because I was on her right. And I remember looking over just kind of see if I was on track with everyone else. Like,
and now you're
glancing.
getting on her last nerve.
Yeah.
Switch.
And I just saw her going like...
Carltoning it over in the corner.
Yeah, and I was like, this bitch forgot her own choreography. And we spent like 3 hours trying to rehearse it and everything in the studio. And I was like...
And the only reason why I stopped doing the choreography was because I was like, okay, she's in the middle. She's not doing the choreo. I couldn't see Robert.
Yeah, we were like across the
We were
dance
across
floor.
from, yeah. So I was like, okay, if I'm continuing to do choreography, it's just going to look like I'm like crazy. So I stopped.
So I was the one looking crazy, trying to keep up with all these things that we didn't rehearse in like 6-inch heels. I don't know really where it took a turn, but like for the good, I mean.
Yeah, it was when some of these newer girls joined the cast post Envy. So, because Justin had left already. I feel like it really like turned around when we got Elena, Faye, and then Liz, Juliana.
But then the bar got remodeled, and then it just.
You use like 4th gen Pokemon.
Yeah. But it was also about like the shows changed a lot too. Like, because when I started in Sacramento, like that's when I started doing drag seriously, was in Sacramento.
Yeah.
Competing and stuff. And the shows are all way different than they are now. I mean, was it always called Sidetrack Showcase or Sunday Showcase of Sidetracks?
It used to be the Sunday Night Showcase at one point, like when I first came around.
And then there was Chantal's Calendar Girls.
Yeah.
And then Chantal, the One Name Sensation Showcase, Sunday Night Showcase.
Yeah, and then there was also Headhunters.
No.
It wasn't even Mangoes yet.
Oh,
and
wow, okay.
Faces had all these different shows that, you know, countless Saturdays, Sundays, Fridays, like all these different things. So it's been different. So I think a lot of girls started when me and Hellen started too. I remember meeting Mercury at Headhunters in one of those like hookah cabana things.
Oh boy.
And I was like, who's this tall, skinny little white dude over here?
Faye Mennon.
Yeah, and he was like, I work at like BCBG or something like that. And I was like, okay, whatever. And then years later, that ended up being Mercury Rising. You know? And like, that's crazy how we've all grown. You know, we've grown into names in the community.
I grew up with Sasha and Jamila. And the fact that I was not consistent in the years that they have been consistent within their drag. Jamila and Sasha did not stop doing drag when I had stopped multiple times.
Yeah. I remember seeing Jamila at the crib before I did drag too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Jamila was at the crib, and I remember going and seeing her. I remember still to this day, Eva Simmons. She did I Don't Like You. And she had that one iconic thing. She just recently wore it too, I think this past Sunday at Sidetracks, where she had that like mohawk looking thing that she used to have that she used to glue down to her boy hair. And I remember that vividly. And I looked up to her, but then she wouldn't treat me like a baby drag queen.
Yeah.
She would treat me like, I've known you all these years.
Yeah.
You're still my friend past that. Same with Sasha Devereaux. It's Sasha Devereaux.
Sasha Glam Devereaux.
Sasha, I remember when she was Sasha Glam, before she was even, like, I have a picture of us looking super busted in her bathroom, and I look back at it all the time, and I'm like, used to be us.
I was friends with Sasha as David a long, long time ago on MySpace. That's when I would go to, like, okay, anyone within the 100 miles of my location who is gay.
Yeah.
Remember that? Yeah. I think I didn't really know him personally. I didn't meet him until much later after he, like, went to beauty school and all that stuff. What was it at? What was this? Not Club Flame, but the one in
There's a hookah bar.
Touche.
Oh yeah, Touche.
That when Charm performed there, Sasha also. I remember seeing her do like the splits and stuff. I wasn't there. I wasn't old enough. But I remember seeing it on like MySpace video or something.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah, it's crazy. She was around. She's been doing her thing for a long time. I don't even think she remembers me as a MySpace friend. I don't think she would. We didn't really talk like that. But it's hella funny looking back at it now.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's that moment where you realize just.
It's a wonderful world.
I don't know. It's really late. I think my brain's like...
Also, when I met Charm on Downlink.
Yeah, I knew Charm before I knew any of you guys at Eve's. I went into like the Eve's back room and there's Charm, and it's like, well...
Yeah, I knew Charm way back in, like this way before she was with Bae and everything, and we met like almost like we were gonna start dating, but we never really did. But then like I knew she did drag, and we were like MySpace friends for like the longest time. I saw her at Super King like once. Years later, it's like looking back at where we met. Flash forward down and, you know, performing together on a regular basis, and we're like really close friends.
Yeah.
And another one was Lady Devad. When I first met her, I met her at a party when I was like 17 years old. She was in drag, and then we shared spaghetti off a plate. And I never knew like 4 years or 5 years after that we would be like really close friends too. And never in my mind would I ever think that. It's so weird.
Yeah, I think it's going back to like your statement about like, say for instance, Mercury Rising. Like, you know, like you go back and you really realize that like you've all been doing this for like forever.
Yeah, and that we've all like gone through our different eras of our looks. And I remember when Mercury was kind of like a Alaska girl.
Yeah, and now I remember seeing those pictures.
And then now she's a banana. Anorexic banana. She's a brand.
No, that's like the smartest thing to do.
I don't know what I wanted to conclude this with, but If you had any closing thoughts about like what you think people would want to take away from this, like as a final thought, what would you say?
Drag is worthy of respect. It's not just a spectacle on a TV show. It's not just a character that steals a scene in a movie. It's been an art form. It's been a lifestyle. It's always been that way. So whether you're a performer or not a performer, just always remember to respect the craft. From 1992.
It's a good movie. It wasn't 1992, was it?
I think so, yeah.
Oh my god.
Or 93, I think. Like, if you're a performer, don't forget where you came from. Don't forget who came before you. Don't forget who paved the road and went through all the bullshit. And don't think that you're above them, because you're not a performer. If you don't know a whole lot about drag, and this is your first drag show or something, survey the room and figure out what the vast majority of the crowd is not doing, aka not going on stage while we're performing, not throwing water bottles, not acting a fool and trying to dance with me because I'm coming up to you and I'm dancing alongside of you for a $1 bill. Like,
Respect like strippers.
Exactly.
At least like a stripper. I mean, you wouldn't do that to a stripper.
Even women who go to, like, straight women who go to strip clubs, like female strip clubs, they're just sitting there and they're still watching these women do their thing and they're still giving them money. It's the same thing with us, except, like, we keep our clothes on most of the time.
You are not the girl.
There's a few people who get it, like Rebecca and Mandy and them. Like, they respect us as artists and they see us as people behind the makeup, and they love us for that too, you know? They don't expect us to be like these sassy, glamorous things at all times. I know some people like to keep that mystique and not know how they are behind the curtain and how they are in real life. But I think that if people are like open to like talking as a person and human being and not just being like, oh my god, let's take a picture together.
Oh my god, I love your makeup. You got to do my makeup one of these days.
You know, you were pretty, but if you did your eyebrows a little bit browner, you look great.
I hate it. Why are you wearing so many eyelashes? Why are your eyelashes so big? That doesn't look like a real girl.
We did a show when we did like for Halloween. It was like classic horror icons. Was that when you did Bride of Frankenstein?
Yes.
One of my all-time favorite performances. But I was the creature from the Black Lagoon. So I was green, had white contacts on, no eyebrows on. It was like all like very zombie looking. And a girl that worked at Mac was like, you know, if you did your eyebrows like brown, it'd look a lot better. And in my head, I'm like, I'm literally green. But I was just like, okay, whatever you say.
I remember you telling me that night.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite stories. That like, it was annoying but also really funny, you know. And I remember all these years later.
Thanks for the advice, Deanne.
Yeah,
it's spelled like Diane,
but she was like,
she pronounces it Deanne.
But she was like, I work at Mac
Deanne.
and blah 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 blah. I'm like, okay, because I never see anyone working at Mac. Because there's one girl behind the counter just sitting there not doing anything.
Wait, I'm gonna get my phone.
Oh yeah, and Helen,
bitch.
final thoughts.
Change the name of your show.
Final thoughts with TOH.
Right.
Final
TOHT. Yes, with a picture. Just know that there is stuff that you will not see, even as a performer. Know that there's so much work even being put into the smallest clubs. And if you really want to show like your performers, your hosts, your producers, that you want this to continue going, embrace and definitely support all of it that it is. If it looks like a cheap show, chances are there's literally no budget. And if it's a very expensive, elaborate show, chances are a lot of money was put into it because they're trying to create a product. And if you just go and your only takeaway from it was, well, it looked like this, or I wasn't happy with that, it will just devalue all our work. And we try to work really hard for everybody else. And as performers, if you're going to a show and you're like, oh, these girls look like this and their back room is shitty or whatever. And it's like, well, nobody handed us, you know, like anything. We are working with what we got. And you take it for what it is or just don't come back.
I know. Like, if we had, in an ideal world, if me and Helen had the resources and everything, we can create our own entire show, like, it's a wrap. I mean, for any drag host that we know has like a very unique point of view as far as their show, and if they can customize what their venue would look like, what their backdrops would look like, all these things, kind of like unfortunate that we're stuck with what we got, and it's usually just a blank room on a dance floor. Meet us halfway and create that illusion. This is a stage and this is a show. Letting yourself believe that you're at a show and it actually will become reality that it is a show.
Fake it till you make it, baby.
Well, that was the end of our episode, which is probably 2 hours long, but who knows? I'm going to edit it down. We're going to do our bonus episode right after this, which is a Q&A. It won't be this long, I promise.
It'll be just an hour long.
Just 1 hour long for the first question. Thank you guys for being with me. I know I'll be with Hellen a lot. We have to do Stu Magnolius. We have to do Grease 2. We do all these movies. We have to decide on what movie, or I don't know if it's going to be like Dr. Seuss movies or Shrek or something. We have to do something.
We have to do something.
Yeah.
I've been saying this for a while, ever since you said that you were going to start your podcast.
Yeah.
I'm like, we'll figure it out. There's
Why don't I lose my job? So say goodnight, y'all.
Good night, y'all.
And if you like, subscribe below. Hit the button.
They're not going to hear any of that.
Thumbs up if you like pickle crunching sounds.
Yeah.
Thumbs up this video if you like over-analing things.
That's for, I guess, a YouTube thing, because on SoundCloud you can't thumbs up.
Oh,
videos.
yeah, never mind. Okay.
Anyway, thanks for listening, and I'll see you guys. I won't see you, but edit that part. Click, take 2. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you guys. What the fuck am I talking about? I'm used to talking about videos. I'm like, thanks for subscribing.
Do you smell toast? Do you smell toast?
Thank you so much for listening. Hopefully we will hear from you guys soon. Leave your comments, leave your requests for future videos. We'll try to help make that happen, coordinate schedules. I was able to make 2 episodes within, 3 days of each other? Yeah. Let's see how long it takes to edit this thing. My video was only 8 minutes long. I'll think of an outro in the meantime. Thank you for listening. Bye.